Hi guys, this is Kelsey from Briar Farm. We're on the road. You're down in Tennessee at Cheney's Dexter Cattle Farm here in Tellico Plains, Tennessee. I'm here with Mark Chaney, and he's been gracious enough to show us around their gorgeous farm and their amazing Dexters. And we're down here to pick up our new bull, Mr. President, which we're really excited to add to our herd.
All right.
So, Mark, how long have you and Kathy, your wife here, been raising Dexters?
Roughly 14, 15 years now. We started with, a heifer, a couple of heifers and a bull, and they were both, young, and so then just grew from there. And now we keep about 25 breeding cows. And we'll have some replacement heifers, some steers, and that running around on the farm. And generally we'll have at least 2 bulls. And we don't normally have more than 50 head on, but sometimes it gets up to that.
So you keep some steers around for beef too then?
We do.
So is beef production your primary goal, or milking, or breeding stock?
Breeding stock, probably. Beef second to that.
Nice. And you show your cattle too, right?
We do show them. We do a handful of shows throughout the year. There's an Ohio Valley show. We sometimes do the National AGM. There's a show here in Knoxville, which is close to us, and then there's a show closer to Nashville. Years past, we've gone down to Tampa, Florida. We also go over to Missouri and show, so just kind of depends. We may go to Florida or we may go to Missouri. It's about the same distance, so we have to choose which one we'd like to go on.
That's neat. So it's become a way of life for you guys now.
Yeah.
Do you work off farm, or is this?
No, I did, but now I've retired from my paycheck job, and so now I just do this.
That's awesome. It's gorgeous here. I can see wanting to spend all my time in a place like this too. So one of the reasons we wanted to come get a bull from you, apart from your incredible reputation for breeding excellent, gentle Dexters, is we wanted to bring A2A2 milk genetics and polled, so none of our calves would have horns if we bred them to a polled bull like Mr. President. Is that a goal for you guys herd-wide, A2, and polled, or is it something?
Not so much the A2, but we do want to have polled animals. We've had horned animals in the past. Horn's not bad, right? It's just some extra precaution that you have to have when you have horned animals. And so we just chose not to have to deal with that. So it's a lot less stress on an animal if you don't have to remove the horns, so it's easier just to go polled.
Yeah.
And as far as the milk goes, we have a good mix. I mean, we have A2, but we also have some A1. And some of those A1 cows are by far probably our best looking animals, right? So they don't go away. We're like this much too good of an animal to just dispose of because the milk's not the way
people want it.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm looking for.
And the science behind which milk is better, A1 milk proteins or A2 milk proteins, is kind of muddy. I think there was some misinformation in Australia cattle herds. There was a herd that wanted to promote A2 genetics as being superior, and they even tried to spread some misinformation about A1 was not good for your health, milk proteins were dangerous to drink, and there's been a lot of peer-reviewed evidence from across the globe that has shown that A1 milk proteins are not harmful to human health. A1 milk proteins are good for you to drink, that just like the A2 is good for you to drink, but there's still this desire, I think, among a lot of like small family farms.
Yeah.
They want that A2.
Yeah, and to each their own. You know,
Yeah.
for us, it's the confirmation of the animal. You know, you want an animal that, you know, is going to last, right? And carry and deliver calves, and so that's, you know, what we kind of look for. And if they're A2, well, I guess that's a bonus.
Yeah. Yes. I'm grateful that there's so many Dexter breeders across the world, but especially across the U.S. that are so kind and generous and open that we're able to share that genetic diversity. We're not pigeonholed with, you know, one breeder in Michigan or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we've sent these animals everywhere, you know, so they're farm wide, and, you know, we've also picked up animals all over the place. Just here recently, we acquired some heifers from Wyoming, and prior to that, I went and I drove up to Oregon, and we brought a couple of cows back just because we wanted those genetics in our herd. So,
That's awesome. So can you tell me, why would a cattle farmer choose to drive across the country from Tennessee to Oregon and back rather than just do AI? Why for Dexter's would you choose live cover instead of AI?
Well, so AI is, for us, it's expensive, right? And so what we found, I mean, a lot of times they'll say, you know, it depends on who you talk to, whether your chance of success is 70% or 50%. But we had like a 25% when we used AI. And so if we, you know, if you get an animal that's on the ground, right? It just seems like it's money in the bank, right? So we just chose to do that. And yeah, you know, you may spend some money up front, but, you know, 9 times out of 10 you get the animal back, and now you've got something that produces. Where, like I say, we just didn't have good luck with it.
Yeah.
If you can get the semen cheap enough, and you yourself, you know, or you have the means to do it, I mean, you know, I would say, yeah, go for it, right? But if you're using one of these businesses and using their AI techs and stuff, boy, it adds up really quick.
Yeah, I believe it. All right.
Okay, herd health. So yeah, so the Dexters, what we found, you know, I mean, in my opinion, if you're in the cattle business, right, you want to have cows out there that have calves that, you know, that make it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, we've probably had we got to be getting close to 200 animals born on this place. And so of that, I would say a couple of handfuls that I can count on 2 hands where we've had calves that didn't make it, or were born dead, or, you know, the cow had an abortion or this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. But not too many problems like that. As far as diseases, we haven't had any to speak of, you know.
I think Kathy mentioned earlier you guys don't ever have to do any hoof care.
No hoof care. You know, they're pretty low maintenance. They're pretty efficient too, as far as what they can live on. Mm-hmm. What we like to do, you know, is, so if we have yearling heifers, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as we wean, we halter train, then they go out into a separate area. Those animals in particular, we try to really help them along, right, to make them turn into a good cow. Is we'll feed them daily, we keep them in their own little area, we make sure that they have free mineral, which we make sure for all the cows, but the heifers get more attention and more feed, right, because we want them to be as healthy as they can be before they get bred, and when they get to that 2-year-old time frame when they're going to have a calf, right? and that's another thing that we do as far as making sure that our animals do better is we generally won't put them with a bull till after 15 months. So they don't have a calf until they're over 2 years old, which we've found not only does it help the calf that's being born, it helps the cow, because the cow puts a lot into that calf, and if they're too young, they haven't built their body up enough to support that calf.
That makes sense.
We vaccinate at least once a year, and sometimes we do twice a year. We make sure that our cattle have some sort of dewormer twice a year, and just mainly it's this area. It may be different in other areas, but
what do you use to vaccinate your herd?
We use basically we use what our vet told us to use, which is it's one vaccine covers 7 different illnesses, which is a 20/20 Vision 7.
Okay.
And the other one covers 10 different things, which I can't remember all those things. But
yeah.
It's called Triangle 10 HB. So those two, along with a dewormer of some sort, and that's pretty much it. Another thing we do is if we bring animals in from wherever, we put them in a small area like we're standing in right now, and they spend let's just say a week, maybe it's 5 days, right there. And we generally will vaccinate them regardless of what's been done before. We'll vaccinate them with what we vaccinate with, and then put them out with our animals.
That's smart. Biosecurity is important, especially when you're going to shows or bringing in animals from far away, like we'll be doing.
Yeah, and so as far as showing animals, so that if we've ever had, different problems, it's when we've taken young animals to a show and they pick something up, and so we try to protect against that. So. When the calves are born, we've got some, what do we use? We use a product called Enforce 3. And so they get that right away when they're born, which helps their immune system against pneumonia, particularly, is the thing that we worry with most. And then a lot of times, about a month before we take cows to the show, we'll do the same thing with those young calves that we're taking, and that can be, they can be anywhere from 6 months up to, 15 months, right? We'll give them this Enforce again, and then also when we get to the show, so you bring them up and you're in an area like this, and so before we bring our cattle out of the trailer, we go around. We've got a spray bottle with some bleach water in it, and we spray everything down because we've just been bit. I mean, if you take 10 animals to a show and you come home and they all come down with pneumonia, it's not fun at all.
Yeah. That's a smart trick, the bleach spray. I bet that goes a long way.
Yeah. And, does it help? I don't know. But we do it just to help prevent.
Why not? Can't hurt. So just like humans, young and elderly animals are the ones that are most likely to have problems with diseases. How long do your Dexters live productive lives?
We haven't had one that's really old. I want to say our oldest is maybe 12 years old. So, I know they can be productive at least to 12 years. Now, me and Kathy have been to other farms where I want to say that we saw one that was pregnant and fixing to give birth, and it must have been almost 20 years old. So they last a good long amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think it's, the better you help them along, as far as the things that you do for them, supplements and stuff, how you feed them, I guess, and the quality of the hay and the quality of the pasture. will help that longevity.
That's awesome. That was something that really impressed us when we were trying to figure out if we wanted. I thought belted Galloways would be a great fit for us in Michigan, but we couldn't find any belties, and then we started looking at Dexter's. Wow, that's an animal that's, like, if they can live to have productive lives into their teens, those are cows that are well adapted and living comfortably and well suited to their environment. I was surprised to learn that most like Jerseys or Holsteins, like a 4 or 5-year-old cow's just about done. That's a huge investment to put into an animal where you're only going to get, maybe 3 or 4 calves out of it. And so this was something we thought was really a huge benefit of Dexter's.
And they're tasty.
And they're tasty.
Yes.
We got our first Dexter back from the butcher, and he was our bull. I think he's almost 5. And we've only had hamburgers so far, but man, they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, holy cow.
I think they grade the meat as choice,
Yeah.
right? Even if they're finished on grass. And interesting story is we just use a local butcher here, mom and pop type place, and we've taken a number of animals in there, and he, the man that runs it, talked to Kathy one day, and he said, "Yeah, I love these Dexters." He goes, "It's just the what's the word I'm looking for? The beef, tender. This beef is just so tender." And she's like, "Well, how do you know that?" And he holds up 2 knives, and he goes, "This is what tells me that, because I've butchered a lot of animals." And he goes, "And every time one of these comes in," he goes, "it's much easier to cut." So something that they know in the slaughterhouse that we don't know about, right?
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
That is. I've heard another Dexter farmer in Michigan tell me that he's had butchers who are disappointed when he brings his Dexters in because they occupy as much space in his freezer and his hanging room, but he gets paid by the pound.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you don't get as many pounds off a Dexter as you do off of an Angus. So this
They're more
butcher,
meticulous to cut because they're smaller.
yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
yeah,
Our guy
That's awesome.
didn't complain.
Right.
yeah. Our butcher didn't say a word about it.
We didn't take the time.
Yeah,
So what I've found is, like anything, any industry, you've got, the people that are either experts or want to be experts, and they all have opinions,
Yes.
right? And so you have to decide your own.
that wraps up our tour here on Chaney's Dexter Cattle Farm in Tellico Plains, Tennessee. Mark, thank you so much for showing us around.
You're welcome.
If you are interested in learning more about Chaney's Dexter Cattle Farm, you can check out their Facebook page, and we'll put a link to that in the description of this video. Thanks, guys.